Am I finally spared from eating your awful cooking today? Should I say thank you? Well, I'm not going to. Enduring John's harsh words, I sent him off with a bigger smile than usual. As soon as he left, I turned around, ready to start my plan. If my guess was right, he'd be home early today. I needed to finish my preparations before then. While working on my preparations, memories of the past weeks came flooding back. I had been investigating John's behavior while managing household chores. What I discovered was, yeah, right. John was having an affair. And the other woman was a 20-year-old college student. I had set numerous traps, and today, I was going to expose them. It's because of my past career that I'm doing this. I, a former private investigator, am going to thoroughly investigate and bring these two to justice. My name is Amelia. I'm a seemingly ordinary housewife. John and I have been married for 10 years. John works hard as an employee at a major corporation, still active and committed. When I first met John, he wasn't as engrossed in his work as he is now. Initially, he viewed work merely as a means to enjoy his personal life, often lacking motivation and frequently talking about quitting. However, this changed after they had been dating for a year. He stopped complaining about work and seemed transformed, which worried me. The reason for this change became clear 6 months later. One relaxing evening while watching TV, John suddenly handed me a ring. "Amelia, I will make you happy. Will you marry me?" Despite the surprise, my answer was a heartfelt yes. Thus, we married, and I became a wife. John wanted me to be a full-time housewife, a role I accepted. I informed my employer, resigned 2 months later, and embraced my new life. Meeting John through a friend and ending up married felt unbelievable. After 10 years together, it was clear that life was unpredictable. We didn't have children, but we were reasonably happy. We're able to live this life thanks to John, who works tirelessly every day. However, a shadow loomed over our seemingly happy life. One morning. As usual, when I went to check the mailbox outside our house, I found a pitch-black envelope inside. It had a sinister aura, completely black. It had nothing written on either the front or the back. Sender unknown. This has never happened before. Despite my apprehension, I opened it to find a single piece of paper. Hesitantly, I took out the paper from the envelope and there, written in big letters in the center, "Get divorced." So, that's it. I realized. The person who put this envelope in my mailbox was likely the same one demanding a divorce. Something was happening behind my back. For now, I decided not to act hastily and waited for John's return in the evening. In the evening, John came home. "I'm home. Welcome back. I hate to ask you this right when you get back, but what do you think about this?" I showed him the letter. The moment he saw it, he became flustered. A stark contrast to his usual demeanor raised my suspicions. "Are you okay?" Right after the question, John suddenly got angry and stormed into the bedroom. John emerged from the bedroom dressed as if he was about to go out. "What? You're leaving?" I received no response. He just left the house in silence. His behavior was clearly unusual. I could hear the car engine starting outside. I watched it from the living room window. Where is he going? After confirming that John had driven off, I picked up the paper she had placed nearby. If my intuition was right, this person and my husband were connected. A sense of excitement tinged my thoughts amidst the turmoil of me otherwise ordinary life. 2 hours later, my phone rang with an unknown number. Normally, I wouldn't answer calls from unknown numbers, but this time was different. "Hello?" I answered and the voice on the other end, seemingly male, spat out hateful words: "Get divorced, leave the house, disappear." The caller had spewed venom in words so simple, even a child would understand. It was clear to me this was not a man's voice. It was immediately clear to me that the caller was a woman. It wasn't just the words, but the voice that was off. She had clearly lowered her pitch to sound like a man. A woman, huh? This confirmed my intuition. John was intimately involved with the person on the phone. But I knew reacting emotionally could make the other woman flee. I decided to play ignorant, to not let on what I knew. "Who are you? Stop this weird prank, please." The woman, seemingly pleased with my response, hurled even more abuse at me. It was so intense. Hearing such things would normally be traumatizing. "Stop it, please." Enough is enough. I hung up forcefully. However, as intentional as it was, the barrage of insults still affected me. A few days later, John returned from work, and I told him about the harassment from the unknown person. Ever since that creepy letter arrived, I've been getting these weird calls. However, John didn't seem interested in the conversation. So, I decided to shake things up a bit. There was no doubt in my mind that the caller was a woman. I think it was a woman. I described how the woman had altered her voice to sound male, and John briefly showed a look of surprise before quickly regaining his composure. Then, unexpectedly, he began to berate me. "You've been so noisy lately. What does it matter if the caller is a woman or a man? You can't tell someone's gender just by their voice. You always do this, jumping to conclusions based on your assumptions. Have you ever been right? You act as if you're always correct. Do you enjoy belittling me that much?" I didn't say that. Or is there something on your mind? I calmly questioned him. Overexcited, John seemed out of breath and unable to respond. "Are you okay?" Just then, I noticed his work bag vibrating. His phone was ringing. "Your phone's ringing, you know?" He hastily grabbed his phone and hurried outside. About 30 minutes later, John returned, quickly changed clothes, and left again without a word, just like before. I watched him leave from the window. I smirked through the window. Shortly after, her own phone rang. It was the same person again. Again? The caller had again altered her voice to sound lower. "Enough is enough. You're a woman, aren't you? It's obvious you're disguising your voice. There's no point in continuing." As I confronted her, a different voice came through the phone. When I confronted her about the uselessness of her actions, a different voice responded. It was the woman's real voice, one I hadn't heard before. "So you knew. Why didn't you say so from the start?" Her voice was younger than I had imagined. It was probably in her 20s. "What a lovely voice you have. Should I call you miss?" "Huh? I don't care about compliments from an old lady like you. Besides, of course, I'm cute. If you have time for this, you should try being more attractive yourself. Not that it would do any good for an old lady like you. That's why you're in this mess. Oh, and my name is Luna, so don't call me miss, okay, you old hag?" It's absurd and infuriating to be verbally abused by a woman I've never even met. It's becoming increasingly difficult to restrain my emotions and not respond in kind. But I had to be patient. After getting what she wanted, Luna ended the call triumphantly. They must be together. Talking to Luna made one thing clear. John was with her. It was undeniable. As if to prove it, that day, John returned home just before his usual departure time for work. So I pretended to be asleep. I heard the front door close with a click. I quickly got up, confirmed that John had left for work, and began preparing to leave for a specific location. Never thought this would happen to me. I left the house with mixed feelings. 3 weeks had passed since then. So much had happened to lead up to this moment. Luna's abusive calls continued. And John treated me like she was invisible, as if I didn't exist in the house. There was no place for me in this house anymore. But for me, those things no longer mattered. Because today was a very important day in her life. That morning, unlike other days, She had something different planned as she prepared to send John off to work. "I'm going out with friends, so for dinner, grab some takeout or ready-made meals." Saying just this should be enough. Usually, John would ignore me, but he reacted when I mentioned going out. "So, I don't have to eat your terrible cooking today? Should I say thank you?" "Nah, I won't." Despite his rudeness, I sent him off with a bigger smile than usual. Then, as soon as he was gone, I turned and began my plan. If my guess was right, he'd be home early today. I had to finish my preparations by then. While preparing, I thought about everything that had happened in the past weeks. I had been investigating John's behavior while managing the household chores for 3 weeks. What I found out was, yes, I see. John was having an affair. And the other woman was a 20-year-old college student. I had set numerous traps, and today, I was going to expose them. It's because of my past career that I'm doing this. I, a former detective, am going to thoroughly investigate and bring these two to justice. Here it is. Around lunchtime, just as I predicted, John came back. He stepped out of the car, looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him, thinking I wasn't home. Then, following him, a young woman got out of the car. It was Luna. He finally brought her home. As soon as they entered the house, John and Luna headed straight to the bedroom and collapsed onto the bed. But what they didn't know was that I had set up a special item in the bedroom. It was a voice-activated security camera I had secretly bought for when we had a child. This camera could capture both video and audio perfectly. They really don't know anything, I thought, watching from the car. I watched their repulsive actions for about 2 hours. The moment I had been waiting for finally arrived. As they got out of bed, naked, to take a shower, I made my presence known. "Caught you cheating!" "Ah. Whoa." Startled, they looked around in shock. "Enjoy yourselves?" "I've been watching your affair on this security camera." "This is a security camera? Why does it have audio?" "It's not just any camera, it's a voice-activated one. I didn't buy it for this purpose, but it sure came in handy. I'm on my way there now, so wait for me. And don't bother trying to escape." I went straight to the bedroom, where they had already dressed. They tried to act as if nothing had happened. You know I saw everything. It's my first time seeing such a clear case of cheating. "Do you have proof?" "Just watching doesn't count." "Yeah, show us the proof." "If you're so sure, then prove it, old lady." Even at this point, they were still defiant. I was speechless at their audacity. "You're really foolish, you know. Did you think this was all the preparation I had done?" I said, pulling out a small surveillance camera from the tissue box on the bed. "What?" I continued, pulling out more cameras from the ceiling and closet. Placing several surveillance cameras in front of them, they were lost for words. "The price for ruining my life isn't as simple as this," I said, delivering the final blow. I had thought that would be it, but they still tried to act tough. No more words would change the situation. So, I decided to meticulously explain how I uncovered their affair, rendering them unable to counter. Luna had acted on her own, without saying anything to John to push for a divorce. From the moment I received the first get divorced letter, I had suspected my husband's infidelity. It suggested the other person was likely a woman. Then there was John's reaction when I showed him the letter. His immediate departure was like an admission of guilt. And about that phone call. "You thought you were clever, changing your voice to sound like a man, but I could tell it was a woman right away. That kind of voice disguise doesn't fool me. The more you kept doing the same thing every day, the more obvious it became. And John's behavior was the same. It was just like a child who's been scolded. You both thought I hadn't noticed your affair, but that's not the case. I've been discreetly taking action to gather evidence of your infidelity, while I was enduring the harassment from both of you. So, you see? Do you understand what I've been through? John stood agape, utterly dumbfounded. But Luna, ever the bold one, retorted, "What's your deal?" Luna is such a bold woman. In a way, I'm almost impressed by her youthfulness. What do you mean, what's my deal? Just putting my past experience to use. Past experience? What are you, an old lady? Luna clearly didn't understand. I handed her an old business card from my wallet as a memento. What's this? Ron Detective Agency? Representative, Amelia? What? Oh, I guess I never mentioned it. I used to be a private investigator. Both Luna and John were shocked to learn about my past as a detective. It was no surprise to Luna, but John had no way of knowing. I had quit being an investigator before I met him. There's no special reason for quitting. I just wanted a normal job. But, you know, old habits die hard. I can't help but be suspicious and investigate even the smallest things. That's how I quickly uncovered John and Luna's affair. They were both stunned by my story. Sorry to surprise you, but this isn't over yet. I took out my phone and called someone. Just wait a moment. I'll make it loud enough for everyone to hear. I switched my phone settings to speaker mode. The voices of John's parents came through the phone. You're the loser. To think that our son could do something like this, it just breaks our hearts. What are you thinking? Betraying someone important to you, it's just wrong on a human level. John probably never imagined I was in touch with his parents. He seemed completely unable to grasp what was happening to him. Surprised? This is the best surprise I could give you. How did John's parents know about his affair? Simple. I had told them beforehand. But merely saying he's having an affair wouldn't convince anyone. Especially when it's about their own son. No one would easily believe that their own son is cheating, and it's hard to even consider the possibility. That's why I didn't say anything until I had concrete evidence of John's infidelity. The moment would come soon. My intuition as a former detective told me that. And then it did. I captured John happily walking arm in arm with Luna into a hotel, snapping the decisive moment of infidelity with my camera. I also captured them leaving the hotel and on another day. I snapped the decisive moment of infidelity with my camera. On another day, I got a photo of them embracing and kissing. With this much proof, his parents couldn't doubt the truth. Finally realizing the severity of the situation, John panicked and shouted into the phone, "It's a misunderstanding. I haven't done anything." But his pleas fell on deaf ears, as his parents, having seen undeniable proof, told him, "We want nothing to do with you. We're cutting ties with you today." I seized the moment and pulled out a divorce paper from my bag, thrusting it at John. "I can't be with you after this. We're getting a divorce." However, John vehemently opposed the divorce, trying to hand the paper back to me. "I won't divorce you. Never." "What? I was planning to be with John. Stay out of this. You're an outsider." "Outsider?" I wasn't about to let her disrupt this moment. This was between John and me. If that's your choice, fine. But in return, expect a court case. You do realize what that means, right? At the mention of court, John's resolve crumbled, and he began to sweat profusely. I had already hired a lawyer, preparing for this day. I had already discussed with my lawyer that if John refused to divorce, we would proceed with a lawsuit. Hearing court, John stopped resisting and immediately signed the divorce papers. Luna saw John's pathetic state. "Why aren't you fighting back? I'm happy about the divorce, but it's pathetic how you're just doing what she says." She lashed out unilaterally. And then she turned her anger towards me, hurling words of rage. But I was ready for her reaction too. It was now time to bring down this cheating woman. I spoke towards the voice-activated security camera. You can come in now, thank you. A woman's voice replied from the camera, understood. Hey, old lady. What did you just do? Luna demanded, but I ignored her. She continued to rant, but I paid her no mind. Soon, a couple who appeared to be married entered the bedroom. Luna was left speechless at the sight. These are the special guests I prepared for you. Happy, aren't you? The mysterious couple who suddenly appeared were, in fact, Luna's parents. I asked your parents to come here because I wanted them to see firsthand how their daughter was having an affair with my husband, well, now my ex-husband. I wanted them to be part of this discussion, and then they came. Luna was too shocked to speak, her mouth agape at the sudden appearance of her parents. I'm so sorry. We never imagined our daughter could be so foolish. We're ashamed as parents. Sorry. We spoiled her too much, being our only child. We're truly sorry. Luna's parents apologized sincerely. It's not your fault. I don't know what to say. It's understandable. No parent would believe their child could do such a thing without seeing the evidence themselves. That's why I wanted you here today, to see the truth with your own eyes. That's true. Luna's parents turned towards her, their faces filled with anger, and directed harsh words at her. Destroying someone else's family for your own pleasure is outrageous. We raised you with so much love and care, and this is how you repay us. We are thoroughly disappointed in you, Luna. We no longer consider you our daughter. As of today, we're cutting ties with you. This decision was made after a thorough discussion with your mother. It's regrettable, but that's how it is. You're no longer welcome in our home. If you understand, leave now. We don't want to see your face again. Dad, Mom, you're not serious, right? You wouldn't abandon me? Hey, Mom! Hey! Everything your father said is true. Whatever you say won't change our minds. Blame your past self for this. You brought this on yourself. Don't believe this nonsense. I didn't do anything. Despite her protests, her parents couldn't believe her, especially after witnessing their daughter in a compromising situation with a stranger. Realizing her words were futile, Luna looked down in defeat. Then, Luna's father turned towards John and delivered a stern rebuke. It's shameful for an adult to be infatuated with a woman over 20 years younger. You lack the maturity expected of an adult, as does our daughter. John stood there, speechless with her father's words. I'm sorry for involving you in this mess. No. It's us who should apologize for our foolish daughter's actions. We are truly sorry. Suddenly, Luna, who had been silent, snapped and lunged at her parents in rage. At that moment, watch out! I quickly stepped in front of her parents. I grabbed Luna's arm as she came charging at us and swiftly executed a shoulder throw. Luna's body flew through the air before crashing forcefully onto the floor. She let out a cry that was hard to imagine coming from her delicate appearance, and then she burst into tears from the intense pain. Let this be a lesson. Don't get too cocky. I had learned self-defense and martial arts when I decided to become an investigator. I never imagined it would come in handy in a situation like this. After the commotion settled down, I immediately filed the divorce papers, and my marriage to John was officially over. He soon gathered his belongings and left the house. I heard from acquaintances that both John and Luna were facing tough times. John was faced with the prospect of paying me a large amount of alimony, but his affair became known at his company, leading to him being viewed with disdain by those around him. Unable to endure the situation, John quickly submitted his resignation and left his job. Now, he's struggling with a low-income life, working day and night to pay the alimony. As for Luna, she was disowned by her parents and kicked out of their home. With nowhere to go, she's barely getting by with unfamiliar jobs. Meanwhile, Luna faced a harsher reality. Her affair with John spread among her friends, leaving her isolated and alone. She now leads a lonely life, unsupported by anyone. As for me, I sold the house after the divorce. I didn't want to live there anymore. With the money from the sale, I'm now enjoying life, doing things I've always wanted to do. Of course, I am doing this all on my own. But I'm happier than ever. Life is more enjoyable now than when I was married.